I grew up in a single parent, modest home with an older sibling. Her name's Robin. She actually works here. Very modest beginnings. We were poor, pretty much. Didn't really have a lot of opportunity, if you will. My mom did the best she could as being a single parent growing up without money. It was always learn how to do things on your own out of necessity. You know, you can't pay people to do certain things that you like, then you kind of have to learn how to do it or you don't get to have it. That's kind of the philosophy that we bring here, and when we first started out was I wanted cool stuff, but couldn't afford somebody to do it for me. So a lot of trial and error, not using a bunch of fancy stuff and starting from the bottom and using rudimentary tools and just going from there. Back in the day, there used to be a publisher's clearinghouse kind of thing, which my mom would let us pick magazines that we wanted to order, and in turn, it would enter her in the publisher's clearinghouse sweepstakes. So my sister got to order a magazine, my mom ordered a magazine, and I got to order a magazine. And the only thing that sparked my interest in all of that stuff was Lowrider Magazine. So Lowrider Magazine is kind of what got me started for my love of cars and that sort of artwork, and you can kind of see that style in my artwork and the things that I do come out nowadays, even 30 years later. So I first started painting when I was about 14 years old. I got my first motorcycle that was wrecked, of course, because I got it cheaper that way, and it needed a paint job. So I had a neighbor down the street that was a paint and body guy, and he kind of set me up and told me what I needed to do, let me borrow some of his equipment, and I painted my first motorcycle outside on a clothes rack with a $20 hand-me-down thing from the pawn shop, and I believe that I got the paint from him as well. He gave me a bunch of different colors, and it wasn't enough to do the motorcycle, so I just mixed them all together and then sprayed it. And I so didn't know what I was doing back in the day that I only sprayed the base coat and I didn't even put clear on it. So that was my introduction. I've worked in other body shops, like production body shops, fixing wrecks and collision and things of that nature. And I was in the auto body industry for about 10 or 15 years. I left and got into the oil and gas industry. And then through the ups and downs and the turmoil of that stuff, in 2014 when the downturn happened, I just made the decision that, I wasn't going to go through letting someone else dictate my life, my paycheck, everything else. So I decided to start doing this on my own. You kind of have to deal with the quantity over quality thing, and it never kind of sat right with me. Not that anybody did poor work, but when you get into the custom side of things, it's a little bit different. So it's quality over quantity. And as far as dealing with customers and everything else that goes into that side of things, it taught me great lessons. But the corporate aspect of it and the dishonesty of that industry just started to rub me the wrong way. Insurance companies control everything. Body shops don't really run body shops. Insurance companies run body shops, and it just one of those things that I didn't want to be privy to anymore. I had a lot of doubts about opening up my own shop. Ultimately, it costs a lot of money to do so, and I started basically with nothing. So with that being said, you don't know if you're going to have the customers, you don't know if you're going to have clientele, you don't know if you're going to have success. It's scary for a lot of reasons. 2016, 2015, we had basically run out of space. So we had reached a point where we were either going to have to scale back or we were going to have to expand. I wrestled with this for months and months and months because I said I never wanted a big shop. Again, kind of a throwback to the industry that I came from previous, to where I didn't want to have to deal with all that sort of thing. But then what kind of kicked me in the pants and made me move forward was I don't believe that I was put on this earth to be mediocre. So I took the big steps necessary to expand and move into the place that we're in now and just keep growing business. The dream for me for Side Sleds is to basically Southside world domination. I want to make it a household name. I want to make it a name that is associated with quality at an affordable price, because we want to build hot rods for blue collar guys. You know, no offense to the guys that want to build $250,000 rides, but that's just not the business for us. Ultimately, I just want to make sure that my employees and my family, that everybody can sustain themselves in the lifestyle that they want to. We started doing events basically based on charitable events. It is a good excuse to have a party, but it's also good to help out a good cause. It's good for networking. You know, a lot of guys don't have the avenues to make it to shows, or the time, or the money even to travel out of state. So we figured we would just host an event the first Friday of every month so people could come check out the shop, see who we are, see what we're about, and talk to other car guys about cool stuff. One of the events actually has morphed into something greater. There's a local car club called the Okie Sleds, and they do a charitable event, and we just host it for them. And on the last one, we were able to raise $10,000 for the Ronald McDonald House. So we've just, we're on our 10th one, and this is to many more, and hopefully pushing the envelope and getting more money for a good cause.
My second son was going to be born with a pretty serious heart defect, and we found out at our 20-week ultrasound that, you know, we got the diagnosis that he was going to be born with a condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So at the time, there was no surgeon in Oklahoma City at all. So knowing what we knew, the doctor told us that he was going to have 3 open heart surgeries, all before the age of 4, his first one being just days old. And so we were going to have to find a place to, you know, for a surgeon to do these surgeries. When Tristan was born, we immediately were able to get checked into the Ronald McDonald House down there. And I had never heard of him before. I, you know, just kind of here and there would hear about him, but as soon as we began our stay there after Tristan was born, I just remember walking through the house. The lady that we were, you know, she was checking us in. She walked us around, and I just remember feeling this weight being lifted off of me, like, wow, this is all for us at no charge. We have basically this house that we can be in whenever we need to sleep. There was, you know, we had a room, we had a kitchen. Volunteers would come cook 3 meals a day, and I mean, we could do whatever we wanted in there, just have a nice little comfortable place to be and get away from the hospital. That's how we came to know the Ronald McDonald House. They always did great things for us as a family and for the kids. And we also, I just remembered too, for Tristan's first birthday, I mean, I remember after his first surgery, we stayed there the first time. I told Ryan, my husband, I was like, you know, we got to do something for these. When we are able to, we're going to give back, because this is amazing. So my husband Ryan and you know, Jeremy and Jacob, they all got together, you know, years ago, and they started this car club. And I just remember Jeremy, his vision was basically, let's have a car show without the car show, and just get together and have fun, and, you know, let's make it for a great cause. And they knew Sean and Side Sleds a long time, you know, even before, you know, we met. And so they collaborated, and you know, Sean allowed the Okie Sleds to start off doing these Great With Meets at his shop. And so it became a collaboration between the two to start these, doing this type, you know, provide a bunch of food, and everyone chips in, you know, provides, you know, Jacob provides all the delicious meat from his barbecue. The wives, anybody really can donate sides and desserts and enough to feed a ton of people. And Side Sleds do a really good job of getting raffle items for people. It's like really cool stuff to get, buy tickets and raffle off some really cool stuff, and all of that really just adds up and has produced a lot of great donations. Like for instance, there was a really cool toilet that was amazing, is awesome. And so I think, I don't know, you have to pay to play basically. So if you want that item, you got to buy a lot of tickets and put them all into that one bucket. But so that's basically how you have a higher chance of winning the more tickets you buy, and you can put all of your tickets in one spot, or you can sprinkle them out wherever. And so that's kind of how they would win. A person would win that item. That donation that we did this last time, it was enough to sponsor a suite. And so in this Ronald McDonald House here in Oklahoma City, the suite has a little kitchen area, a living area, and a room with 2 queen-size beds, huge bathroom. So basically, whoever has to be there for a long period of time can stay there, and we sponsor it for the full year, and they can stay there for free. Like, they don't have to buy and have to worry about going to hotels, spending $100 a night, then having to worry about where to get their food. And if you add it up, if you stay there for about a month, you're spending, easily $500. And while your child's having to have some medical conditions being done. So it really helps these families for sure. Tristan is he's the funniest kid I've ever met. He's got some arrhythmia issues, which is very common with the type of heart defect that he has. So he has ended up having to have a pacemaker put in a couple of years ago. And we've just had to kind of mess around with some different medicines, just because the arrhythmias make him feel bad. Sometimes his heart gets to beating so fast that it's like he gets sweaty from out of nowhere. Like, you were just sitting on the couch, what are you doing? So he does start to feel bad. So we go every 6 months for cardiologist visits, but he does really well with it. He doesn't know any different, so if he were to feel bad, if his heart was bothering him, he doesn't really know to tell us, because that's just how he feels. And he's just full of life, he just has so much. He has a great sense of humor, and he just he's great. He just does awesome with everything that he's been through. He's been through a lot of challenges, and I'm so proud of him. I'm gonna cry. Dude, right there.
Scars. Interesting scars.
Everybody that's been involved, I'm thankful for all the support that we've gotten, like from our community, from our friends, from our family. The guys that work here, I am the owner, but they don't work for me, they work with me, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a family environment, and it's a group effort. It's not just one person. It's a lot of different gears that make this machine run. So thank you guys.